The problem with calling to try to get help is that people assume that I can do things that I can't. I can't function. I need help. Telling me to do the shit over the internet. You see how well that fucking turns out. You're allowed to get frustrated, and I'm not. You're allowed to walk away, and I'm not. You're allowed to make a police report, and I'm not. Call the FBI back again. This would be the 16th call in under 24 hours.
Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. If this is FBI Omaha.
Hello, my name is Sean Schwartz.
Yes, sir.
I need some actual help. I'm tired of calling the FBI and you guys doing absolutely nothing. I've called you guys over 100 times. You guys have done nothing to investigate any of the crimes against me. The police in the state of Colorado, state of Nebraska, state of Washington, and state of Wyoming all took part because I didn't have a guardian to protect my rights. I didn't have any. I need someone from your office to call me back. Not once have you guys called me back. I've literally had to break the law to try to force police to look at all of the violence and all of the threats against me, and still, not one of you will do it. You take advantage of my disabilities and expect me to just magically be able to make them disappear. Like if you punish me enough, my Tourette syndrome will go away. If you punish me enough, my autism will go away and I'll magically be normal like you Hitler fuckers want me to be. We're not all the same for a reason. I'm tired of being victimized and told that I deserved it. I'm tired of my predators getting away with it. I'm tired of anybody being able to harm me, threaten me, assault me, or steal my things at any point in time. I should have had a guardian when I turned 18. The fact that this is how disabled people are treated when they have no family is disgusting. I had everything taken away from me over a murder that I didn't commit. I had all of my money taken. I had everything that I ever earned in my lifetime taken repeatedly. They took away my disability money. They took away my vehicle. They took away my ability to take care of myself and made me a target for the public and for law enforcement. I've spent 3 years trying to get law enforcement to take a look. 3 years of law enforcement lying. 3 years of law enforcement not talking to any of the witnesses, only allowing one side in because they screwed up that badly. I am overwhelmed because there is too much for me to do. I need help in person. I need an advocate in person. I don't have the computer skills to do all of the things that people keep asking me to do, but I am trying. When I ask for help, people don't try to help me. They just tell me that they can't. Police outright lied in my court dates where I was not allowed to speak up on my own behalf, where I did not have a lawyer present, and a public pretender is not a real fucking lawyer. Even FBI agents have been involved in this. FBI agents took part in covering up the wrongdoing of police officers who are assaulting innocent people. They helped out drug dealers. They helped out rapists and child molesters in order to cover the wrongdoings of officers. Do you know how messed up that is? From Officer Waylon Lolatai to Officer Michael Beard, Officer Michael West. I had to deal with people harming me everywhere that I went. And everywhere that I go to try to show why these people are doing this, I get told I can't show anything because it's out of jurisdiction, even if it's in jurisdiction.
You have reached the Omaha Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. If this is an emergency, hang up now and dial 911. The FBI is warning citizens to be on alert for a phone scam that is targeting individuals.
Yeah, my name is Sean Schwartz, and I need an FBI agent here.
Sir, what you're doing, sir, is you're being harassing, right? You've been told what's supposed to happen.
Fuck you, bitch. I've already done what you said is supposed to happen. No, you do not get to do this to me.
You have reached the Omaha Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. If this is an emergency, hang up now and dial 911. The FBI is warning citizens to be.
Hello? 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 Is anyone there? Hello? Hello? The fact that you fucking cowards don't give your names is fucking gross. You were a fucking coward and a crook. You were a piece of shit, straight up. See, they answered. See everybody on YouTube? This fucking punk ass little bitch answered. But he's not speaking. This right here, this is the FBI. This is how they treat people who need help. This is how they treat people who try to turn in rotten cops, crooked cops. This is how they treat you when you are railroaded because you have no rights because you are called mentally ill. This is how they treat you. You see this? 2 minutes and 2 seconds. This guy is still on the line. 2 minutes and 10 seconds. This guy is still on the line. Still has not answered. Still has not replied. This right here is the kind of help that you get when you have no family, no money, when you are railroaded by court date after court date after court date and never allowed to show evidence. This right here. Hey, FBI guy, you are on live chat on Facebook or on YouTube. You know what YouTube is, right? You think it's all right to ignore people who are harmed in the United States? You think it's okay to victimize the victims or to help out the predators? At this point, I don't care what FBI agency you are with. The fact is, you're with the FBI, and my experience with the FBI is you're a bunch of cowardly pieces of shit who gang up on people who can't defend themselves. You fucking Nazi bastards. Now, those of you here on my YouTube, you know that I started off talking to these people nicely. I started talking to them nicely. But they refuse to do a goddamn thing about the crimes that have been committed against me because I don't have the ability to send it to them in the format that they want. How can I possibly do that without someone teaching me how to do that? I have obviously been trying for years to get this done. But people blow you off and blow you off because they're not going through it. So it must be okay. These crimes must not be happening because they're not happening to you. Maybe we should look at this from a perspective, an important perspective. Is it all right to beat black people because I'm not black? Of course it's not. Is it okay to beat up neurotypicals because I'm not neurotypical? Of course it's not. But it's okay for neurotypicals to victimize me for not being like them. This is the same shit that happened in Nazi Germany. Now, if you notice, 5 minutes and 8 seconds, 5 minutes and 10 seconds, this guy has been on the line. He's there, just doesn't want to do his fucking job. If the American people mean absolutely nothing, then why not get rid of them? If I am not worth the rights of the Constitution of the United States, then kill me. But until you put me in the ground, I am going to fight for my rights. By the way, those are your rights too. Now we got this sorry ass son of a bitch here with the NEB FBI. That's short for Nebraska. How many times have I called these guys trying to get help? You tell a man in a wheelchair to walk up the stairs or he gets nothing. The only way for you in that wheelchair, that busted wheelchair, the only way for you to get help with that busted wheelchair is for you to drag that busted wheelchair up to the 3rd floor. That's what this is like. Being victimized because I can't crawl up 3 flights of stairs with wheelchair in tow. Nobody should be forced to break the law to defend themselves. All of these people who threaten me repeatedly over and over and over and over again and harass me over and over and over and over again. And for trying to turn those people in, I get treated by the FBI like I'm harassing them. Bitch, this is your fucking job. This is what the American people fucking pay you for, you fucking pieces of shit. This is why it is legal to do whatever the fuck you want to, because nobody is going to investigate a goddamn thing. Hey, FBI bitch. You filthy FBI fucking nasty ass goddamn snatch rag. You. Why don't you try actually fucking speaking up, motherfucker, you fucking punk ass little bitch. You ain't fucking shit. You're a fucking coward. That is what you are. You don't give a holy fucking goddamn about the American people. You give a fucking goddamn about your goddamn paycheck and covering for the wrongdoing of fellow agents. You're a fucking trash monster, motherfucker. What the fuck is your name, coward? Huh? You fucking coward. You fucking trashy ass goddamn piece of shit. What, you don't like that? You don't like that I'm cursing? There's absolutely no problems with people cursing at me, is there? You have no problems with people assaulting me, do you? People can do whatever they want to me, and you will cheer them the fuck on. Meanwhile, hello FBI Omaha. I have been on hold for about 10 minutes about.
And how can I help you? And I do apologize for the long hold.
Well, ma'am, first of all, a good portion of your agents that I have spoken with have been outright rude, inconsiderate, and gone out of their way to treat me completely like trash for trying to turn in the situations that have been happening.
Okay. Can you give me some details on what type of situations you're calling about?
Yes, ma'am. Harassment, threats against my life repeatedly, refusal to allow me to make or file a police report, victimizing the victims. Over 1,000 people have taken part in this since the death of Natalie Bollinger, ma'am. I have made hundreds and hundreds of phone calls to hundreds and hundreds of different places that all tell me to call this other place and call this other place. Ma'am, I am disabled. This is not something that I should be having to do.
Sir, before you continue, may I start off with your name? I do apologize, I did not catch that first.
My name is Sean Schwartz.
And it's common spelling for Sean, S-H-A-W-N?
Yes, ma'am.
And Schwartz, could you spell that for me, please?
SCHWARTZ. Well, although I've given it to you guys for over 300 times now, Natalie Bollinger. She was Bollinger. Yes, ma'am. She was repeat the last name.
Oh, yes, spell it for me, please.
B as in boy. OLLINGER.
Okay. And go ahead, I do apologize. You said that she is.
Well, now she's dead. Well, she was selling drugs on Pearl Street in Boulder, Colorado for her dad when she was 13. That's how we met. Although I didn't get to know her because I was homeless at the time and she was a little kid, and mostly I just spent my time trying to get them kids to stay away from the drug dealers.
And you said this is in what part of Colorado, Boulder?
This is in Boulder, Colorado. Yes, ma'am.
And you said she was on Pearl Street?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old was she when you met her?
She was 13 years old.
And how long ago was that?
God, a lot of years. She would be 23 this year, I believe.
Okay.
22 this year.
And how did she die?
A gunshot wound to the head. She was shot in the left temple with a 9mm Glock at 6 to 15 inches away from her head at McIntosh Dairy Farm in Thornton, Colorado.
Okay, and so what brings you to calling today? I noticed you stated earlier there were some different types of crimes. Do they all have to, are they in relation to her, or is it things that's happening just to you? You said it was thousands of people involved. What does that mean?
The thing is that I had been trying to turn it. See, Natalie was a heroin addict. Same thing with her sister and most of her family, and also a lot of her ex-boyfriends and things like that. I have communication issues when I'm overwhelmed. I'm autistic, which is not a choice. I also have difficulties with internet stuff. I need somebody to actually help me with that, and I didn't have that help. Me and Natalie didn't actually become friends until she was 18, though. Before that, my rule was if you're not 18, you're 12, and I don't hang out with 12-year-olds. So a lot of the crimes that were committed before Natalie was killed. Her friends and family were threatening me and harassing me and threatening me to. Natalie Bollinger's friends and family.
Okay. And what did they harass you saying?
Well, at first they were saying that I stalked some girl in Virginia, and when they were telling me this, they were saying Maddie said. In response to that, the woman Maddie, her name is Maddie Boa. She was MADIBOA.
BOW.
No, just BOA.
Okay. And how old was she?
Maddie Boa, I think she was about the same age as Natalie at the time.
So about 13 or 14?
No, I didn't start hanging out with them until they were 18.
Okay. So
the incident.
Family stated that you started stalking first with Maddie, and you said this was in where state?
All right, I missed the first part of that.
You stated that her friend, Natalie's friends and family stated that you first started stalking Maddie, but what state was that in?
No, I wasn't stalking anyone.
I understand, but you stated that there were some comments made saying that you were stalking.
They were claiming that I stalked them in Virginia, and I have evidence that shows otherwise, but I was prevented from going to court and prevented from showing evidence. Less than a week later, Natalie got shot in the head.
Okay.
She was suicidal, and she said that she wasn't getting on the airplane to Virginia unless I promised to go to Virginia. So I promised to go to Virginia, and I didn't make it, and I didn't make it, and I was way late. And she called me up and told me that her family is driving her crazy, and that if I'm not already on the road, she's going to kill herself. And then she drove her vehicle into a tree within 6 hours of that. So I made sure that I kept my word and did what she wanted, and I went to Virginia.
And this was Natalie saying all these things to you first?
Yeah, Natalie's the one who came into my life, not the other way around.
Okay.
But when I was in Virginia, I was severely dehydrated, and I have all the paperwork for this. I just don't have the ability to send it all through the internet the way that people want me to. But Natalie and her sister, when I was in Virginia, they were fighting over a boy, which has nothing to do with me and shouldn't have ever had an effect on my life. But them fighting over a boy boiled over on my birthday somehow, and that was the last time that I saw Natalie Bollinger, my birthday in October of 2016. Well, ever since I left Virginia, I've had to deal with people The rumors started off that I stalked some girl in Virginia, and Alicia, that's Natalie's twin sister, had called Maddie Boa, who I knew from Boulder, and told Maddie Boa that I threatened her family, and I hadn't. That was an outright lie. But then the rumors got out of hand, and I couldn't see my friends, I couldn't see my family. I was separated from all of my loved ones, and I was trying to get help. Eventually, it got to the point where I was seeing 3 therapists and had already made multiple attempts to get the police to take a look at the threats, harassment, and assaults that I had endured already, and they wouldn't do it. They kept telling me that it's out of jurisdiction, no matter what jurisdiction it was in. Then, when Natalie got shot in the head, it was all over the news. My friends, my family were threatened and harassed and intimidated. The people who offered to help me, I was separated from repeatedly by police. I was assaulted repeatedly in Boulder, which is where the police from Natalie's case asked me to go. The thing is, man, I could literally speak for days about all the situations that have happened, but instead I end up trying to abridge it as much as possible because I know you guys usually hang up with me after 15 minutes or less.
So my question to you, you're calling the FBI because you would like us to do what exactly?
Well, ma'am, I need someone to come down and actually take a look at this evidence. I mean, I've got hundreds and hundreds of conversations with witnesses, thousands of screenshots, but I don't have the technical ability to show it to people. And for the last 2 years, I've literally been on the run. It got to the point where I literally had to break the law to try to force the law to take a look because the FBI wasn't doing anything. The police weren't doing anything, and it was already across multiple jurisdictions where I was threatened, hazed, and harassed by the police.
So my question to you, all of this happened in Colorado, correct?
No,
And
ma'am.
then it's in Nebraska.
No, ma'am. It didn't just happen in Colorado. It happened in Virginia. It happened in Colorado. It happened in Tennessee. It happened in Wyoming. It happened in Washington State. See, the thing is that after Natalie was killed, I was made homeless and all of my money was taken away. I'm disabled. I require that money in order to be able to take care of myself. And instead, I had to depend on other people to be able to do that.
Who took away your money? Were you receiving disability or?
Yes, ma'am, I was receiving disability. But due to the assault by Officer Waylon Lolatai in Boulder, just about a week after Natalie was killed, like literally, I'd spent that entire week trying to get officers to listen to me, trying to get away from people who were assaulting me. And Officer Waylon Lolatai was let go in Denver for assaulting people, but they hired him on in Boulder. Do what?
Can you give me the correct spelling of that officer's name?
Yes, ma'am. It's Lolotai.
And what's his first name by chance?
Waylon, Waylon.
Okay. And you said he's with Denver Police or Boulder, Colorado Police?
He's with Boulder. He was let go in Denver for assaulting people, and although he should have gone to jail because he's an officer, he gets special treatment. It's okay for him to break the law like that. Then he broke the law like that against me, and then he assaulted 6 more people after me. When I tried to turn him in.
Were these 6 people also homeless, or was it just in general 6 more people?
Yes, they were all homeless. Well, not all of them. There were 3 of them that were mistaken for homeless people, and their cases were picked up, whereas the people who were actually homeless, nobody cares. One of those people that she assaulted is named Michelle Rodriguez, and she recently won her court date. Another one is Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, and another one is Zaid Atkinson.
Samuel
Leon Lawrence Lawrence, the fourth.
And the third one you said was?
Zayd Atkinson.
Can you spell his first name?
Zayd.
So Zay?
Z like zebra, AYD.
Oh, D. Okay. And the last name you said was Kinsman?
No, Atkinson, ATKINSON.
Okay. And these are the three who won their cases against that officer?
So far, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so all of these were the three that were mistaken to be homeless. There were three others that were not, that were homeless and never had a chance to go to court behind these assaults, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you've gone through Wyoming, Tennessee, Washington State, Colorado, Nebraska, Virginia, and you've had different types of assaults against you by only police or others?
Mostly others. There have only been, well, if what they consider assault against a police officer is assault, then I was assaulted at least 100 times by police officers. However,
when you say assault, are you saying just verbal assault, physical assault?
There were 7 instances where it was a straight up outright physical assault. There were many other occasions where it was harassment, teasing, picking on me, making fun of me, preventing. They literally kept on removing my blankets so that I was shivering and freezing.
Okay.
The thing is, when Waylon Lolatai assaulted me, they charged me with assault. And later on, many months later, they finally dropped the charges. The problem is that it ate up all of my money. It took away my ability to take care of myself, to feed myself, to get myself somewhere safe. I had to depend on people with a history of abusing me in order to try to get help, and going to the police repeatedly has resulted in nothing happening. Nobody will investigate anything. They just say, oh, well, he's mentally ill, so I don't have to.
And who else knows about these assaults and all of the back and forth you've had with law enforcement?
Nobody, although I don't have a family, ma'am. A lot of people are aware of it because I post as much as I can up on YouTube and Facebook. But I don't want to do that. I want this stuff in court. The problem is that my technical abilities don't exist. I don't have the technical ability to actually send you guys a report full of all of this evidence. In addition, a lot of evidence has been stolen. The thing is that because
YouTube, Facebook, what are you accessing? Is it on your phone?
I have a computer and a telephone. Although most of my evidence was on a computer that was stolen, police refused to investigate it. This is all on my YouTube. I'm in the situation where I called to turn in officers who weren't doing their jobs, and then instead of being able to turn them in, it ended up being that officer calling me back on repeated occasions. That's the problem, ma'am, is that when you are charged with assaulting a police officer, even when they drop the charges, it's still on your arrest record, and police officers treat you like garbage after that.
Okay. So my other question then for you, I know you said that you told people this on your YouTube, on your Facebook. You've reported it multiple times.
Yes, ma'am.
And all of that. So you're saying that you don't have any technical capabilities of getting this information, this evidence, to anyone to review. Are you not able to email it out on your computer?
Well, that's the thing, is that I know how to email, but it's just not going through. And I've tried through the website, and I've also tried through the web address that I was given. The thing is that I've been through Hades for the last 2 years. I literally did not get my money back or my housing back until 2 weeks ago. I mean, my first check was on the 1st of this month, so that was less than a week ago. For the last 2 years, I was made homeless by the death of Natalie Bollinger, and I was prevented from being able to defend myself by police officers nationwide. The people that were threatening my life, when I tried to turn those people in, it was always, hey, you know, wrong jurisdiction, wrong jurisdiction. Meanwhile, they did all sorts of stuff that's against the law in order to help out the Bollinger family and to help out those police officers who had did wrong, but they'll absolutely not look at any of the evidence. Now, it's not just the fact that I don't have the technical ability to send you all this stuff. It's also the fact that I have been running around like a chicken with my head cut off with no money, no rights for the last 2 years. I haven't been able to sit down and actually organize all of this. And a lot of the stuff that I did organize was on a computer that was stolen. And a lot of the stuff that wasn't on that computer was on USB drives that were stolen. And I literally spent months of my life collecting the evidence to put on there to show that the people who were playing victim were my predators. But the thing is, by that point in time, I'd already had to flee the state of Colorado because my public pretenders wouldn't do their jobs. I ended up with warrants out for my arrest because I was incarcerated when I should have been, when I was incarcerated in Arapahoe County when I had court dates. I was illegally prevented from going to those court dates. When I tried to go in and turn in officers actually at the courthouse, I was escorted out by officers for trying to turn in officers.
Were you having any outbursts or anything like that, or was this more of a conversation and you were just letting someone know what was going on with these officers?
Well, let me give you one specific instance. The guy who killed Natalie, his name is Joseph Michael Lopez. He had court in, I want to say, March of 2018. And I decided that I was going to go fill out paperwork against the Bollingers and the police in Arapahoe County at the same time that Joseph Lopez court date was, because that was the best time to try to serve those people with warrants or protection orders, which I desperately needed, but I didn't have any help getting it. Before court, I was outside of the courthouse and I explained that I was going in there to see the guy who killed Natalie, and also that I was there to file reports against the officers. And I went in for the court date, and Natalie's dad is a child molester, by the way. He molested Natalie and her twin sister Alicia, and he also had them selling drugs at 13 years of age. He got them addicted to heroin and methamphetamines, and long story short, when I went to court, I had to go in by myself. I didn't have a guardian or anyone like that to help me. And as soon as Ted Bollinger, well, when I sat down, a bailiff came up to me because Natalie's grandparents were there and they had a problem with me sitting there. So I didn't have a problem with moving. I got up and I moved like I was asked to. But then Ted Bollinger came in and a lot of other people came in, and Ted literally started screaming at the top of his lungs, calling me a child molester and a bunch of other really messed up stuff like that. And the officers that are in there, like immediately, their frame of mind changed from treating me like a human being to being very hostile with me. Meanwhile, I'm not the one who's screaming in the courtroom. Ted Bollinger is. This is a guy who has repeatedly put his family at risk. Now, when I tried to ask those officers to make a report about it, because what Ted Bollinger was doing was obviously illegal, they outright refused. Then when court was done, I sat there and allowed the entire Bollinger family to leave, so there was no issues. And as soon as they were gone, I was going to go downstairs and I was going to try to do what it is that I had gone there to begin with to do, which is file reports against the police and the Bollingers. But instead, the officers there were very rude, very inconsiderate, wouldn't allow me to stand up. Now, this is after, basically treating me completely like trash because Ted Bollinger was making false accusations. And that's something that I have had to deal with for this entire period of time. Whenever somebody does something wrong, and I check them on it, I'm like, hey, that is messed up. They go, well, you're a child molester, you're a stalker, you're a this, you're a that. This has literally destroyed every single relationship that I have. Every one of them.
So at this point, you've reached out to the Omaha location, right, for the FBI. Did you ever reach out to the Colorado location to see any of the, like, to the PD there, or was assaulting you first?
I called the FBI in Colorado first.
No, I'm asking you if you talked to the local PD first, the police department there. Did you talk to them first?
Yes, ma'am. The
And
thing is,
they said they could help you.
no, ma'am, they were taking part in the bullying and the harassment. That's why I got a hold of the FBI.
Okay, that's what I wanted to confirm. That's what I wanted to make sure. And so then you spoke with the FBI in Colorado, and what came of that?
They basically threatened me.
Who was they, and
That
what
would
were
be
the
the FBI agent, and he didn't give his name. But I called multiple FBI agents because I did call them multiple times, just like with you guys. In order to get somebody to actually investigate the crime, you have to get somebody who's actually willing to listen and investigate the crime instead of somebody who's just going to treat you like you're mentally ill, which is what I've gotten most, is the mentally ill treatment. The idea that if you treat me like I don't know what's going on, then it makes whatever crimes were committed against me magically okay.
Okay. And so I was also informed, however, that you've made repeated back-to-back calls to multiple numbers here in the last hour or a couple hours. Is that correct?
It was a couple hours ago, and absolutely I have.
Okay. But have you had a chance to speak with anyone when you were making these phone calls, or were they just repeated phone calls and then you were disconnected? Like, what happened in those attempts to get through?
That all depends on which time and who I was speaking to, because there was one gentleman who I got a hold of repeatedly, and he was just an asshole repeatedly, pardon my French.
And what did he do that constitutes him being what you feel as a a-hole?
Well, ma'am, he was telling me to do things that I don't have the ability to do, and then getting irate and getting very emotional and being very much a jerk. And all I'm trying to do is get someone to actually investigate these crimes.
I
But there's a
understand what
lot
you're
of
saying.
them.
Give me an example of what he was telling you to do that you feel like you cannot do.
Well, first, he was telling me to do things that I had already done, which is called state patrol. And then he was telling me that I have to send all this stuff across the internet, which is fine, but I need help with that. That's the thing, is that I am overwhelmed. I shut down very easily, and there is a lot of evidence. I literally have probably close to 2,000 pieces of paper not 20 feet from me that are all evidence that nobody will look at.
Do you have someone that's in your general area or even in your complex or whatever the case may be that can help you navigate these things?
No, ma'am, that's the problem, is that I've been attempting to get help doing that for almost 3 years now. I started trying to get help before Natalie was killed.
And I definitely understand what you're saying about 2 or 3 years ago. I'm saying more recent, now that you're back in your housing, different things like that. Do you know if there's anyone that provided you with housing that may also have resources to other folks that can assist you technologically?
No, ma'am. Matter of fact, I've literally made hundreds of calls to try to get that to happen.
Okay, and what state you're in Nebraska, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What part of Nebraska?
I'm in the western Nebraska Panhandle. I'm in Chapel.
Chapel?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so you've reached out, maybe there's a Catholic Charities or some type of something like that in the area, some type of community center that you can actually go to, or maybe someone you can speak with that can help you?
There's less than 500 people in this town, and because of what happened to Natalie, and because of the fact that it was all over the news, it's difficult to get people to even talk to me. I have people who throw beer bottles out the window at me and scream stuff like, "You fucking fag," and shit like that at me, and a lot of other words that I'm just not going to bring up in this telephone call. This place is pretty racist.
Okay. So my other question then would be, what are you, I know you want us to look into these things, and definitely I'll document this phone call and submit it to an agent for review. However, the constant phone calls does not give someone the opportunity to look into what you're asking for. Does that make any sense at all?
It does to some degree, but there's also the fact that this has been ongoing for over 2 years, ma'am.
And I realize what you're saying. The biggest concern here is if you're constantly calling, you're taking away the resources that would be allotted to looking into these things. Maybe they're reading the report, they're looking to see if there's some way that we can or cannot assist, right? So that's the biggest thing first and foremost. However, I also realize that you said it's been ongoing for 2 years. Being mindful of that, yes, we are definitely feeling the understanding that this is bothering you, this needs to be resolved. We get that, right?
It's
But
not just that, it's that until this is resolved, I am subject to a lot of abuse.
And sir, I definitely understand that. And the best thing that I can say to that point is that your immediate need for responding is in your local area, which will be your local police. And I get what you're saying; they're the ones that's doing it, but they're your first responders. It would not be the FBI. As far as the long-term idea of looking into what's been going on for the last couple of years, seeing if there's any federal nexus for us to move forward, those things, that's where we would jump in. But if you're feeling like your life is in danger right now in this moment, your first responders will be your local police, your state patrol, or your sheriff.
Well, ma'am, I'm going to be honest with you. If my life was in peril right now, I'd rather die than call the cops. That's the thing, is that going to the cops has resulted in me being harmed repeatedly. It's resulted in them, what's the word I'm looking for? Manipulating the system. They knew what they did was wrong, so when I tried to turn them in, they had me committed. They lied to the lady from Region 1.
How long were you there?
I was there. Well, they wanted me to be diagnosed with bipolar, which would make it okay that they didn't take a police report. So they held me for less than 20 hours, just long enough to have the doctors give them the diagnosis that they wanted.
And so how long ago did they mark that as a diagnosis for you?
They did that on the 2nd or 3rd of July in 2018, because I was trying to turn in the sheriff here in Chapel, Nebraska, as well as Officer Cody Selhorst and Officer Jared Hahn, as well as Officer Jordan Anderson.
Okay. So I realize what's going on, right? I understand what you're saying, rather. My biggest concern, though, is if you're feeling like your life is in danger and it's always in danger, maybe there's another element we can look into. Maybe, like I said, a community center that offers some type of safe haven or some type of protection or an ability to speak with someone. Do you have maybe a caseworker or anything like that that you already interact with to secure housing that they can also provide resources? And I get what you stated earlier, that people who know you associated to Natalie's case talk to you some kind of way, but I know that there are also people in the area that can assist further.
Well, there's
any of those places there.
There's less than 500 people in this entire town. The nearest place that there's any services is Sydney, and that's 30 miles away. I don't have a vehicle. I had one, but it got taken away because I was standing up for some children that were being abused in Wyoming.
Okay. So what means of transportation do you have? Is it public transportation? Do you have a car service?
I have my feet, that's it. And I have degenerative disc disease, bad knees. So having to walk everywhere is extremely painful.
Okay, can I place you on a brief hold?
You may.
Thank you. Thank you so much for holding.
Yes, ma'am.
And so you are able to reach,
Do what?
you do have access to the internet, correct?
I do have access to the internet, yes. This is the first time that I have had access to the internet and the ability to make phone calls, and not
Okay.
been stuck in public. As you can probably imagine, talking about any of this in a public place probably isn't going to go well. You know, going into Starbucks and talking about, murder and stuff like that. Just
Okay. And you stated that you were at some point housed in Chapel, Nebraska in Region 1. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I was housed. Matter of fact, I was in the same housing unit not the same apartment, but the same housing unit that I'm in now. It's called Hilltop, and it's the low-income housing here in Chapel.
Can I provide you with the phone number of someone that is in your local area that may be able to help you navigate some of these things?
Let me get a pen out. The thing is, and yes, I'm totally down with that. I have nonstop anxiety. I have nightmares. I don't hardly sleep because I don't have any help. All I can do is take the punishment, ma'am. And I don't want to break the law. I never did. I tried doing everything the legal way first. But when you got the mentally ill tag or you're not neurotypical, throwing you away like you're garbage is pretty easy for people to do.
Well, it seems like this particular agency that I'm going to give you the number to that's in your area specializes in helping individuals get through all of those things that you've just explained.
Yes, ma'am.
So I can give you the number. It's called Crossroads Counseling. Their phone number whenever you're ready.
Crossroads.
And their phone number 308-432-3920.
All right. Does it say what town they're out of?
It's in Chadron.
Oh, that is way, way, way not even close to here.
I understand, but they specialize in working with individuals who also are in Chapel.
All right.
Let me see if I can find another one that's closer. Just a moment. I have County Veteran Service.
I'm not a veteran.
Okay, just a moment. What other area is the closest to Chapel?
There's Sydney.
Okay.
I can't go to the state of Colorado because I have warrants out. By the way, I shouldn't have those warrants. I went to every single court date. I got those warrants for court dates that I was prevented from going to.
Okay, so for those, however, you would actually need to go back to whoever issued those, so whatever county issued those warrants, and you would need to speak with their court and the arresting agency, or whoever signed the bench warrant. So if there was a warrant that was issued for your arrest, if you talk to the county court there, they will be able to tell you who issued it and what you would need to do to try to get that off of your record.
Well, the thing is that due to the things that the courts and the police in Colorado have already done, there is too much of a safety concern there for me to be able to go to Colorado without being harmed. The assaults that were committed in the jails, most of those were committed by officers.
Okay.
At first, they thought that I killed Natalie, and they were all proud of themselves because they caught some terrible serial killer type person. And then when they realized how wrong they were and realized how many crimes they committed, they Well, they were more interested in protecting their fellow officers who had done wrong from being prosecuted for their crimes.
Okay. So there is a website.
All right.
It's called BetterHelp, BETTER Help, HELP.com.
All right.
And it provides you with a list of all of the therapists or the community services that are provided in Chapel, Nebraska directly. You may be able to reach out to one of them to help you through maybe the nightmares and the lack of sleep and all of those things.
The only thing that'll do that is an honest day in court where I'm actually allowed to face my accusers. My constitutional rights and my legal rights were just outright ignored by the judges, the lawyers, the public pretenders, everybody. When you walk in there by yourself, that's what you get.
Where you're going with that. However, the best method right now is to try to work through some of these things. And I get what you're saying, honestly, time in court. So what I'm going to do is provide our agents with the report that you provided me today and let them review it. If there is not a federal nexus, you may not hear back from them. However, if it is and they have more follow-up questions, then they'll give you a call, okay? But just know that I am documenting this call and I am going to submit it and it will go to an agent for review.
Ma'am, there were literally thousands of crimes that were committed against me across multiple jurisdictions, multiple states, not just by the public, but also by the police. And a lot of those assaults happened because of the police. I really need somebody to actually do something. In order for me to heal up from this, I need, first of all, to be able to see my loved ones, and I can't do that until I've had an honest day in court.
Sir, I definitely hear what you're saying.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
at this point, the best that the FBI can do right now for me to send this over to an agent for review.
Yes, ma'am.
But in the meantime, if you give them a call to maybe see if there's other resources they can provide you so that way you can navigate on your computer better, different things like that. Also try to talk out some of the other angst that you may have or have been experiencing in the meantime, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else that I can assist you with at this point?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that when Natalie died, I was seeing 3 therapists. I've had 6 therapists at least since Natalie was killed. And I can't afford to keep going to see those therapists. They weren't helping. That's not to say that I wasn't going, because I absolutely did. That's just to say that going to a therapist over and over and over again when I need a lawyer and I need housing just ended up costing me all my money by wasting it in gas.
And you mentioned the lawyer. Have you talked to legal aid? Typically, they do pro bono work.
I have called legal aid, but the other thing
How long
is,
ago did you call them?
I've called them probably easily 100 times in the last 2 years. Well, not just myself and a couple of other people have actually made calls. But the problem is that due to my location and where all of this stuff is going on, I mean, it's basically a giant pain to try to get anything done through them at all. Meanwhile, I need to be able to get help in person before I can even get everything gathered up and set together to send them, to show them to get that help. What I literally need is a guardian, and I don't have one. I've been trying to get one, and they used to call them advocates, but I guess now it's considered a guardian because I got Asperger's, which is a type of autism. So I'm really easy to victimize, and also I have Tourette syndrome. So I do weird stuff with my eyes and with my wrists that people just assume that I'm on drugs when they see it. And it's difficult for me because I've had Tourette syndrome since before I knew what drugs were, you know. And the whole thing here is that everybody keeps giving me these phone numbers. I literally have hundreds and hundreds of phone numbers, so it's not like I haven't tried. My phone is full of full of those numbers that I've called.
And I definitely believe that. I just want to make sure that as our conversation concludes, that I've provided you as much information and some resources available for you to try to help with this as best as I can until there is some type of resolve for you. So in this instance, me providing you this phone number, giving you a way, especially with all of the things that's going on in the world, these individuals are available to talk to even online or over the phone without having to go see them in person. And so these are some other methods. Not saying that they won't see you in person. I'm just saying in general to get started. Those are some people that you can ask to help you navigate, maybe getting a guardian, getting through the online, getting through the sleepless nights, different things like that. And I'll go ahead and document this phone call, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Sean, you have a great day.
Yes, ma'am. Be safe.
You do the same. Bye-bye.
Bye. Now, I'm not sure if y'all noticed, but that lady kind of talked to me like a human being. So let's hang this one up. We'll call up this number that she hooked me up with.